And we're back. Another episode of the AC Milan Zone podcast. International break finally coming to an end, and the boys will be back soon. More hope, more pain. Oscar, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Stefano. Yeah, it's how are we only 2 games in the Serie A and already have an international break? But it's nice to be able to watch Grande Milan play this weekend again.
Absolutely. How was your international break? We were just
Yeah,
joking just before going live that maybe we won't discuss it. Both of our
we
national
can go
teams
straight.
probably going through some tough times in terms of expectations and results. Uh,
Absolutely.
you're a cultured man who lived in Italy, AC Milan supporter, but obviously a Swede. I did not
Mm.
watch the games, but I saw the results. What's the vibe like in Sweden and in Swedish press?
The,
Obviously, at Milan Legend, you were just informing me because I very ignorant didn't know, and that Thomasson
mm,
is the current manager. Is he
yeah.
looking to be fired anytime soon after losing to Kosovo?
Yeah, so yeah, or for Sweden it didn't go very well. We've had a patch the last 10 years where obviously in 2018 we went to the World Cup with a very limited squad, to be honest, in terms of worldwide recognition and the players we actually had to work with. I think Emil Forsberg was sort of our best player, of course, doing well at Leipzig at that point, but that was pretty much our star player almost. So we went from like that traditional Swedish coach, and he got us through the through the mud, and we made it to the quarterfinal of the World Cup. Overachieved. Now we've got Jandal Thomasson, and we have a very bright and young team. It is a very young team. We've got very good forwards. Obviously, Kulusevski's still injured, obviously for Spurs, but he was there just to support the team. We had Isak, who just transferred to Liverpool literally the
Yeah,
day before the team met, so he's out of form. Gyökeres, while he's played 3 Premier League games, he hasn't found his rhythm yet. We have
yeah,
Elanga, who just went for like 65 million pounds.
yeah.
Bergvall in centre midfield, Aljari who starts for Brighton, etc. Our backline and our goalie isn't as good, I would say, but so
Hmm.
it's tough to lose against Kosovo. It was tough to lose against Slovenia.
Draw,
We've only
draw.
played two. Yeah, we've only yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah, draw. We've only played 2 games, so it's not the end of the world, right?
Hmm.
While some other groups have played a lot more games,
Yeah,
but we've got Switzerland in that group who have 6 of 6 points. So it's looking like we still have a chance for qualification. But Jondal Thomasson, he's played a weird system of man to man. I don't want to go into the details because this is a Milan podcast. But one of our center midfielders was marking somebody at the edge of their box at a goalie kick, whilst our other center midfielder was just inside our own half. So like how spread out that is.
yeah.
So his game plan didn't
Sounds like
work,
he's a
but
bit of a Pioli head.
yeah, yeah, and we play like a 3-5-2, or if you want to call it like a 5-5-2-3, whatever. But it would have been nice to have Gyökeres up and running and Isak
Yeah, it is
playing more than he did.
terrible luck that your best players and your two starting forwards both were involved in some sort of transfer saga. Obviously, Joker is much, uh, uh, much better than Isak. He's had
Absolutely.
some time to train and has played a few games, while Isak was shunned himself and so was probably way out of condition and probably didn't play many
Mm.
games. But
Yeah,
it is tough. I mean, obviously, you hope that Kosovo can drop points, that you can beat them once you meet them again, and
yeah,
they can drop points against Slovenia or something.
yeah.
But because I mean, you do definitely have a very good squad to easily make the World Cup. You think? I don't
Yeah,
even know how the qualification process works. If it's like last World Cup, if you come second, which we'll get to Italy,
will we
my
have?
national team in a second, is definitely looking forward to do. But out of just trauma, I've decided to have like erased it. Is it like last year where there's like a tournament situation, or how does it work? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not really sure. I know there's like that qualification spot if you come second, and apparently I think I saw Italian media were joking that uh, Italy, if they come second, which I shouldn't say that it's most likely that's going to happen, but if that happens, Italy might have to play against North Macedonia and or Sweden. So that's going
Yes,
to
I
bring bad
saw. I saw that
vibes.
North Macedonia was the most likely outcome according to someone.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't know how the system really works, and
Mm.
that's obviously a major PTSD. Um, And yeah, I mean, tough. Obviously, well, I'll mention briefly about Italy. I said I wasn't gonna watch. I watched a little bit just because I couldn't. I'm a big fan of Gattuso. I still think they shouldn't have fired Spalletti the way he is. I do think Spalletti is a much better manager than the Gattuso, but the Gattuso managerial style lends itself better to national team than Spalletti, who's very
Yeah.
precise, uh, a builder, and when you play with so few games that you have to win, it's tough. Gattuso seems to have brought good energy.
Mm.
We beat Moldova 5-0, even though we started a half 0-0. Everyone was pumped, maybe not so pumped after the good Norwegian fellas laid 11 on them, with Alan scoring 5 and apparently apologizing to the goalie after each goal and saying they just told us to do it for the goal difference.
I mean,
um,
they have. I mean, Norway do have a pretty solid forward group, like
yeah,
Ødegaard behind Sørloth and Haaland. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think they're lacking maybe a bit in the
Oscar Bob
defense, just like Sweden.
to
Oscar Bob, Oscar Bob,
to continue that
Bob.
Man City connection. But yeah, I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
it's kind of like, yeah, maybe they're a little bit more solid at the back, but I do see both of you uh, in Norway and Sweden to have a very solid squad. They seems to be putting it together a little bit better. They'll probably also have more time. Um, but yeah, it looks like unless they drop points against Israel, we will be going to the playoff yet again. I'm hoping. It's been 11 years since Italy has been in a World Cup, which I understand is not saying much for a lot of nations that maybe miss World Cups here and there, but for a nation like Italy, it's pretty traumatic. So I'm hoping that
yeah.
however it goes, North
But then
Macedonia.
you have to do remember that I'm not trying to rage bait or anything, but like the quality of the Italian squad has sort of decreased since obviously
For sure.
2006 and like an aging 2010 squad, or actually sorry 2008 Euro squad, and then you're starting Quagliarella and Jacquinta, I think like that. I'm not saying that Sweden would want to have that quality of strikers, but yeah, it looks like it is somewhat of a young team, right?
Younger now,
But
for
now it's
sure.
sort
Yeah.
of younger nowadays, yeah. But it's looking some. I think I agree with your point about Spalletti. He's a better manager than Gattuso, but not in an international setting. Spalletti needs a full-on, preseason working with players day in day out, whilst Gattuso, has to pick players on form for the squad, see what injuries they have, type thing, and is more of a motivator, I would assume, which you can obviously see after the final whistle against Israel. He was out there. I shouldn't say throwing hands, but
Yeah,
that
that was hilarious
angriness
because at the
that's
beginning he walks up and he's like, hey, trying to calm it down, and then one of the Israel players yells like, "Go educate your
yeah.
players," and he's like, "What the fuck did you just say?" And he just kind of goes off.
Shut up, shut the
Yeah,
fuck up.
which I loved. I don't know. I
Yeah,
love Gattuso. He came so close in our Bantera to bringing us to fourth. Not maybe, definitely not Pep Guardiola, but I don't mind
yeah,
him at all. And yeah, I mean, look, our squad isn't definitely, it's not, we're not bringing out the Tottis and Del Pieros and Nestas and Maldinis that we used to. But look, we're talking about how good Norway is and the good players that they have. And for sure, I mean, their best player, Haaland, who is better than our best player, I mean, arguably better than any player on earth. Well, top three,
yeah,
definitely. No disrespect there, of course. But if you go to the rest of the squad, again, Italy is definitely not what it used to. But there is no reason why we shouldn't, be able to
qualify.
beat
Yeah,
Norway and qualify without going through a playoff
yeah, you're right. You're
yet
right.
again. But I do like, again, very briefly, what Gattuso is doing. I think he knows that there's a few um, players that are fixed in. So obviously Donnarumma is there. He knows that the likes of Bastoni and probably Calafiori and Di Lorenzo are there, and now he's trying to figure out who else is going to pair him up in defense. So he tried Mancini, it didn't go so well. Um, um, it's tough because for the back seems to be the better way to play. But then we have Di Marco, who's not a proper fullback, Bastoni, who plays three at the back, Calafiori, who plays at
Right
Arsenal
back.
as a fullback, And
Yeah.
the few times he's playing center back, it's been three at the back. And then Di Lorenzo, who also, okay, is a full back, but has also played wing back in a three or five at the back. So the defense is a little
Mm.
tough to sort out. He's trying to find
Yeah.
that missing piece. In midfield, it's clear that Tonali and Barella are there, even though Barella has been poor, but Tonali's been great. And he's trying to figure out what's the missing piece there. He's tried Zaccagni, he's tried Locatelli. Um, all you
Yeah.
both, you know that both of them
And
will make it, but they're kind of, missing
yeah,
the spark.
and Tonali plays in a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 in the Premier League, which is a different type of game than most of the other squad, which is almost purely Serie A squad.
Yeah,
Beside Calafiori and Retigui,
yeah,
almost that's the it is a change of mentality, a change of style of play, and I think Tonali is smart enough how to be able to adapt because he plays mostly with his head, but is also physical presence. But yeah,
yeah.
it is. I can imagine it being a bit of a hellhole for Gattuso to choose formation or style to play. You'd want to suit an a Serie A kind of team, but then you've got some of your best players, Retigui, which we can. I don't know if you want to discuss, but he gives his all for Italy all the time. Has just moved to Saudi Arabia. Calafiori, who plays out of position for Italy in a back three, uh, Tonali playing in a more traditional center mid role for a Premier League team. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, it's tough, and I think we're probably missing a CDM there. This is why I'm hoping that Ricci plays a little bit more.
yeah,
Allegri,
because
please.
because when we finished off the pod last time, we were talking about which players are going away for international break, and I don't think I'd read up the day before or whatever, but I thought that Richie was sort of I shouldn't say a starter, but like a given in the squad
Yeah, I mean,
for
I mean,
Italy.
it depends. If he really doesn't play much, which maybe with Allegri won't, I think he could be a
Yeah.
risk of not making it to the World
Mm.
Cup if we make
Yeah.
it to the World Cup. I would think otherwise he would be not maybe a starter, but definitely a staple there.
Because he
Uh,
started a few games for Italy
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
before
We've
we
also been
signed him.
throwing a
Like,
lot because again, we have those fixed players and Spalletti, but also Gattuso have been calling up a lot of people to try to see who's there.
mm,
But I think it will work very well in that three midfielder, and same with the strikers. I think Ken worked out very well in this international break, and obviously had a great last season. Retegui, honestly, kind of the pairing of the two works very well. I'm very sad that Retegui went to Saudi because you kind of go there to rot a little bit, and he's nothing special, but I think specifically the mix that they have between him and Moise Kean works well because Moise Kean can be shut down if he's alone there by himself, surrounded by center backs. And when
mm,
Retegui takes off that the mento and he fights on every ball, it's hard to take him out of rhythm. He plays well with the back to goal and playing layoff passes allows Ken more freedom, so that works well. And then yeah, up top, I mean, if it tries Zaccagni, Politano is definitely gonna make it. I don't know if he's a starter quality. Uh,
mm.
it seems hard for Chiesa to win back minutes at Liverpool, even though he's been doing better than last season. But if he had
He's
any
not included.
spark,
He's not included in the Champions League squad for Liverpool. Apparently,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which hopefully, I mean, maybe that
yeah.
could be good. It's better to not be included, and that means you play some more minutes in the league.
In the
Yeah,
FA Cup,
yeah, or FA
Carabao
Cups,
Cup.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we could use him. We'll see Orsolini, who we'll discuss briefly as we are gonna face him.
Mm.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll try Maldini. Is Maldini also, I mean, a fixed starter? Probably not, but at least brings a little bit of something that maybe other, in terms of quality, that other players don't. But
Yep.
yes, I mean, we'll have another international break to discuss. Hopefully, we'll see both our nations in the upcoming World Cup
That would
next
be
year,
fun. Yeah. Yeah.
because there's nothing like a World Cup summer, and there's nothing as brutal as a World Cup summer when your team is in the tournament. Even if they go out early, you just have to be there, rocking
Yeah.
out the shirt, getting angry at a pub, doing some yelling, all the usual stuff. In terms of Rossoneri, perhaps you talk about Ricci not making it there. A few players, obviously Magnan went there. Rabiot played a little bit, a few minutes for France. He just showed up at Milan for the first time. And we'll be curious to see if he does start. We'll get to the formation in a little bit. Lubrinov to Sheik. got called up for England for the first time in a long time. Obviously, we know Tuchel is a big fan. He also has some very kind words saying, I don't think Ruben even knows how strong and how good he is. Good for the confidence. It is
Absolutely.
surprising to me. He honestly, we were joking about this, but I'm kind of serious. He must be one of the better football like trainers, like in training, footballers in training in recent time, because every manager seems to be absolutely spellbound by the fella,
Yeah.
and then sometimes he forgets to dominate on the pitch. Were you surprised to see him on the call up from Tuchel?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the amount of quality that England have in those types of position,
That's also very true.
I'm
Yeah,
very yeah, I'm just very surprised he got called up. I think Saka skipped it because I was saying that Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a right wing, but
yeah.
they
There was a
play
few
they
missing.
yeah. I think Jude Bellingham was missing,
Yeah,
and Tuchel, I shouldn't say, is under fire because they have won their games, right?
yeah,
And very convincingly against Serbia, but Serbia went one man down very early on by Milinkovic, the ex Fiorentina centre back that we refused to sign for like 5 million on basically a free transfer almost. I don't know, like 4 years ago, we went for someone else. Can't remember who it was, but anyways, I'm surprised that he was called up because did he get a minute? I don't think he did, right? Because
I'm
they
not
were under
sure he
sort of
did.
pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they were under pressure to score because they only beat Andorra 2-0.
yeah,
And
very close.
I was just in England for about a week, so I was speaking to some of my old university friends who were saying are usually quite one-sided when they speak because one's an Arsenal fan, a deluded Arsenal fan, and loved Southgate. But he admitted that yeah, Southgate wasn't the one, as the song does go, that he is the one. But that Tuchel isn't necessarily playing great football, and it's sort of that golden generation curse that they had in the early 2000s when they had, Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard, Beckham on the centre mid, Rio Ferdinand, Michael Owen, who
Yeah,
just won a Ballon d'Or. It's that curse whereby they have all the right qualities, but maybe not
yeah.
timing
I
wise
would
and
say that
formation
they
wise.
might even have better players. Maybe not as front heavy, but they're
Yeah,
deeper even than they used to be.
yeah.
So big pressure on them for
But
sure.
but you're absolutely right that Ruben. It was weird that Ruben Loftus-Cheek was called up because he played a lot for Milan now. The first three games, is that because of lack of personnel and the fact that he was able to join our preseason from from the get go because he's not carrying any injuries. But I was surprised he got a goal last game for us. But I think we've both vented our frustration at we can't really tell what kind of player he is because he is very bang average at everything, but he doesn't use his physique. He is mildly okay at running. He runs a lot. His touch isn't terrible, but not great. His passing range isn't great, but not terrible. His shooting is okay, I guess, for a centre mid. He is tall, so you'd expect him to win a lot of duels. He doesn't do that. So, but apparently, and maybe we can sort of transition into what our starting 11 will be and comment on what the national break has meant for all our starting 11 players, Estupiñán and so on. Where is he going to be playing for us? Because I saw a tweet, I can't remember from who, but it was in Italian, so somewhat reputable, that he might start as a striker for us purely because Santiago Jimenez has come back late, obviously playing in the US and Nashville for Mexico. He's come back late, same with Pulisic. Liao is out injured, so you're the podcast host. I'll let you take it from here.
No, 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 no. I mean, absolutely. You're right. I think you will. I think England probably is doing much like a Tuzo. This is the time for big national teams that actually qualify to also call up some players that are on the fringes and kind of rotate and see. Okay, I obviously know that I'm gonna call up Saka and Harry Kane, but those last few spots I need to evaluate players better. Um, and might see a lot more. You're right of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, as we don't know how we will line up in general. We don't know how we line up if everyone wants to be healthy. We ran a poll on our Instagram page, which I thought was very interesting, sort of
It
a
was.
definite thought process. It was pretty split over 2,000 votes for the formation, and 352 just edged it out. And I think that's what we'll see again, with the usual caveat of positions are fluid during a game. What we'll see Allegri utilize also because if not, we don't have enough men going forward and too many and the defenders are all out of shape, so it makes the most sense. But with the current injuries, we do have a problem. Leao, very surprising to me, seems not very likely, 99%, that he's not gonna make it to the game at all. Um, we were told that he he had pulled up just in time for during the injury during his Bari game. It's now been a month and he's still not okay. We sort of live and die by him, so this is a bad loss. So you would expect the starters to be Jimenez and Pulisic, who unfortunately do play for Mexico and the US. Pulisic got an assist at least. Jimenez got a banger of a goal, actually, very
I
similar
was
to the one he
sick.
scored for us against Empoli. But hopefully another confidence boost. So they will come back very, very late. We play Sunday night, of course, but still, long travel, no training, not a good recipe. In that case, we're sort of all out. The other starting striker or the other striker possibility is in Kuku, who's been training and apparently show up on his days off to try to get back into match shape. But rumors has it is that he's got about half a game in his legs. In which case, we might see Ruben Loftus-Cheek at striker in that 3-5-2 with probably Pulisic, who's probably gonna power through, and the big body that Allegri likes up top being him. Do I like that? Not at all. But I do see how the it's slim pickings up there, and we do have more names to throw, quality names in midfield. So it makes sense that if you need to plug a hole to put him there. Um, so I think Pulisic will start almost certainly. I do think that
Yeah.
unless Jimenez is really out of sort, he will probably start. If not, will be Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Um,
Yeah, because Jimenez didn't play a lot for Mexico. I think he was brought
it's
in
true.
both times for Raúl Jimenez. There's a lot of Jimenez's flying around nowadays,
Yes.
and yeah, I think he came on in the second game in the 70 or 68th, so that's a fair bit. That's over half. That's almost half an hour of game time, where he scored his goal against South Korea, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of worrying that, and I saw a Gazzetta article showing the size of everyone's squads, and Como had proper A team, as in not just including all the youngsters you might put in on the bench and reserves. They have 32 players, while Milan have the least amount of players, which is 22. Now, of
Yeah.
course, Napoli only has 27, but that's a very senior squad in a sense.
Yeah.
I think Inter had 28 or 29. They've always been somewhat limited in their squads, but they've always been able to throw in senior players or players that aren't. I can't even honestly can't even remember what that player was that came on against for us against Lecce, that we'd never heard of from Milan
Hmm. I
Futuro.
mean, he's
So
a
it's
striker, so he'll probably be featured on the bench
yeah.
again.
Yeah, yeah, but now we've got Leao, who you say might not play against Bologna, but oh yeah, most likely won't play against Bologna. Hopefully he'll be able to make it back the next game. Is Stupinian pulled up injured, right, for Ecuador, or he had
Yeah,
muscle
so he was
fatigue or
spared the
of
last
sorts?
game because of some sort of work overload in his leg. Obviously, he'll
Yeah,
come back and we'll see if he's
mm,
healthy or not. If not, we get a Bartizagi shout, which I'm not too upset. Look, Supinian, as in, I think it's tough. It's a tough position. Even our manager didn't quite know how we're gonna play. He just came. I
mm,
think obviously at his best is better than Bartizagi, but let's give Bartezagi a try. And it's not like you're going from, you know, Serginho to Bartezagi. Stupiran hasn't exactly set
yeah.
the world on fire. Had a good second half against Lecce, but 2-3 not great halves. So that's not as
Yeah.
big of a loss to me. It's more about the depth, right? If we're very, as you said, very small squad. If Estupinan cannot make it and we have Bartezagi, what happens if Bartezagi is tired, is injured, or is not playing well? Where do
Oh,
we go?
he hasn't even featured for us, has he, this year?
No, not yet, not yet.
Yeah, so I just feel like that's throwing him straight into the fire. Like
Also very true,
it's
yeah.
We sold Alex Jimenez to Como or not to Como, to Bournemouth, sorry.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's that might have, apparently there were some rumors about him not showing up on time, being late, having a bit of an attitude, which we saw in the game against, was it Cremonese, when he came on and started shouting at the referee, being losing, but it's, or Lecce, I can't remember. But anyways, why are we so thin already on certain positions that,
Yeah.
and you did say management didn't know what kind of position or what kind of formation we're going to be playing, but like we don't have backup for realistically any, well, apart from center midfield, which we have an overload with almost.
Yeah.
But luckily, we've now been able. Well, we're moving up Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and we'll probably see Rabiot play. Ricci didn't start for us in either game in the Serie A, but we played him every single minute almost in preseason. Jashari got that freak injury. It just seems a bit all over the place, and now we're already 3 games into the season, 2 Serie A games and 1 Coppa Italia game, which seems to be scrambling on positions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of wild, and the same thing will go
Yeah,
for the right side. Expect Salemakers to start there. He played with Belgium and got a couple
did
assists.
well.
He did very
Yeah,
well for a good outing for the Belgium squad. We'll see how long they keep it going before they have the usual prima donna, uh, personalities fighting. Um, we'll see if unless we're winning by a lot, uh, or is injured. I don't expect Salamancas to come out. But I'm curious to see who could fill in on that side. If it is, I think Kame, who went to play with the Switzerland under 21s, I believe. Um, but beyond that, any surprise would be that. The midfielders, it's curious. Modric did go and play with Croatia on his 40th birthday. I expect him to start.
age is but a number. He
He's only a
tweeted.
number. Hell yeah. I mean, he played well too. Or from what I saw, he played well. Um, expect him to start. He's been sort of our best player, I would say, honestly, throughout the first 2 games.
Yep.
And every ball has been going through him. But it's also travel. It's also more games for someone that we are all coming in this season saying, okay, we're gonna need to watch out for his minutes. So I'm curious to see. Perhaps, obviously, Ricci will get some more minutes, which I'm not too upset
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, hopefully Ricci convinced Allegri on during this time off, the last sort of 10, 11, 12 days, that
Yeah.
he is a starter or can at least fill in a very good role now, and give him the chance now that we've got a couple of injuries, and moving up Ruben Loftus-Cheek as a striker maybe. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Or I mean, he also played a little bit more forward in the end of Lecce game. But we'll see.
and
We'll
did
see what
well, I
Allegri
thought.
thinks.
Yeah.
I thought so too. He had a nice little shot. I think Rabiot probably doesn't start if Jimenez and Pulisic are okay to go, but will definitely come in. If Ruben Loftus-Cheek is moved up, I expect him to take his position as sort of the left midfielder, which is the one that pushes up more. Um, Look, curious to see. Player that plays a lot, workhorse, um, brings experience.
Has
Not a bad
has played
player,
under Allegri a lot before.
of
So
course, an Allegri fan. So I'm curious to see. Very funny coincidence. His first Milan game, he got kicked out of Marseille for getting in a little bit of a fight. Will be, I think you mentioned this last podcast. Will
yeah,
be against Bologna, who picked up his brawl partner or brawl enemy. So they might be reunited
row,
first
yeah.
game, which will be curious. And then the other center mid position, I think Fofana will stay. He obviously didn't go to play for France, so he should be fresh. He will be there. If not, it could be a Ricci, but I expect him to play there. The center backs, I don't think, are likely to change unless there is an injury of some sort. So it will be Pavlovic, it will be Gabbia, it will be Tomori. Um, I think De Winter probably has a few trainings now in his legs, so I think we could see him featured. Definitely, if the subs are needed. So that'll be curious. But yeah, what do you expect from this game? A Bologna side that had an underwhelming mercato, a transfer window.
Mm.
Lost a lot, didn't gain a lot of people back. They brought Immobile back. They brought um, um,
No,
who
yeah, they did.
Benedeschi, I think, that
They're
got injured.
Yeah.
Um, but
I mean,
they lose against Roma in a game that they did all right with, but they didn't deserve to win. And then maybe get a little bit of a shock result against Como. So they're tied with us. What do you expect from this game?
no, I think I shouldn't say we were, telling off the Milan for their defensive display because it was two easy goals that we conceded against Cremonese, two crosses. One of them was just voted Serie A goal of the month, which is fair enough. It was a great rovesciata, great half bicycle kick, whatever you want to call it. Uh, but we've conceded only two goals and only 11 shots on
Yeah,
target or something like that,
absolutely. Yeah,
albeit against Lecce and Cremonese, so we shouldn't
fair.
be holding it as if it's a great. But compared to last season, it's 50% less goals and a lot less shots on target against in the
Yeah,
first two games of the season. So and we have the lowest XG against us. So it's gonna be one of those games where I think it's gonna be a 1-0 for either squad almost. It's not gonna be an all out goal fest like Italy, Israel, or something like that.
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
expecting, like you say, Bologna didn't have a great transfer window. I'm not sure if they're cashing in. They sold Ndoye to Nottingham Forest. They brought in Benedeschi, a lot of experience before going to Toronto. His Toronto spell was quite catastrophic, as I've heard it. Him and Insigne were sort of forced to get out of the club because we had high expectations from two extremely senior or experienced Serie A players. So Immobile, he comes back from Besiktas. No disrespect to any, if there are any Turkish fans watching this podcast, I doubt it. But it's he's getting older. His trajectory is going downhill. He was essentially forced to leave Lazio because he wasn't getting any minutes. I'm expecting a Milan win, depending on how we could start. I think we do have better players and better quality on paper. Um, yeah, Bologna had I shouldn't say miracle win against Como, but surprising purely because of the how many players they've bought in, who they've sold. Um, yeah, a win is expected, I would say, for us now. 1-0 against Roma, losing isn't terrible, but winning against Como 1-0 is great as well for them. So it's all up in the air, but I expect a win, I would say.
Yeah, agreed. I think what I'm really scared of is Italiano, who I rate very highly as a manager. We saw how
Yeah,
much he sort of, and now he's done it for a few games, really outplayed Fabregas and really triggered him. Fabregas was much like a lot of, especially former Premier League managers or players, and especially Spaniards, not very graceful in defeat at all. He's saw him complaining and cursing out some journalists and talking about how Bologna barely played, and it's all about throwing yourself. And it's like, I don't know, Italiano has ended your ass on a plate a couple times now. I think you just gotta play a little bit different. It's like, oh, we're not all supposed to play the same style of fluid football, and then you just do it better so you win. And there's counterattacks
yeah,
to that.
and Fabregas has played for some great teams in the past, both from the Arsene Wenger times when they played very good football, then going on to Pep's Barcelona team, I think, and then went back to either Mourinho or Conte's Chelsea, which is where he should probably have learned that you don't win games by playing just beautiful football.
Yeah, I
So
mean, look, clearly a bright football mind who has put
absolutely,
up an incredible project and it's
I'd
going to do well, but you
I'd
better
have
learn
him
how
at
to lose.
Milan. Like if we got Fabregas instead of Allegri, I think I'd be very happy.
Agreed,
Positive
yeah.
football.
Yeah,
But I think Inter were after him. But
for sure.
yeah,
So we'll see. I'm curious to see. I'm hoping we keep, as you said, our defensive stability now that we have seemed to have settled on a system.
Mm,
Um, and hopefully we can get the attack going. Against Lecce, we weren't super effervescent, even though we scored two. We were obviously missing players then too.
mm,
Curious to see. I'm hoping that Pulisic and Jimenez start and are healthy. I think we can call it a podcast here. All is
yeah.
missing is prediction.
Prediction.
I'll start off because I
Yes.
usually I usually put the blame on you, and then I get you to start off, so I can do it. 1-0 even.
Oh, you stole mine.
I always do.
No,
I think
I got the prediction in earlier saying it's gonna be a 1-0. It's gonna be a tight game.
okay. No, that's
So
fair. That's fair.
yeah,
Who's
but
your
yeah.
scorer?
Who's my scorer? I'm gonna have to say Modric. I've been saying Modric for the past two podcasts, I think so, or three
Fair, fair. I
podcasts.
mean, he's got
So I'm gonna
assists.
say,
He
yeah,
plays a little bit
it's
back,
gonna
but
be
it's
one of
possible.
those, it's gonna be a tight game. It's not gonna be your regular Pulisic. Well, yeah, obviously not. But a proper forward scoring, I think is gonna be like a cheeky bottom corner just outside the box through a defender's leg. 1-0 Milan win.
Yeah.
Modric goal.
I mean, realistically, I would have to say like a Gabia Plavovic or Ruben Loftus-Cheek of a dead ball. But I'm gonna say
Yeah,
Santi Jimenez because he scored a few that have been called off. I really just did not enjoy
I
how
believe in
how
him.
we
Yeah,
done him. So I'm hoping it's the start of something beautiful. I'll say 1-0 Santi Jimenez. And yeah, we'll see you all and see each other again after this game and before the Udinese game, and then we'll get onto that absolute mad stretch of games that Milan have to hopefully see us climb higher and higher. I'm curious to see
and
Inter
win
will play Juve.
and win the Scudetto that you predicted us to.
This is look. It's
Yeah.
still early. We're there. We're tied with Inter on after two days, after
Yeah,
two
yeah,
weekdays. So
yeah,
can't be so upset. I'm curious to see that Big
absolutely.
Italia, Inter and Juve
True.
playing. I think that will tell us a lot about the season. It's really hard to judge teams now, but I'm curious to see about that. And we'll probably talk about that too. But for now, thank you, Ozzy. Thank you everyone watching, and Forza
Thank you,
Milan.
Stefano. Forza Milan. Bye bye.